Growing up as a PlayStation gamer, that one franchise that I was always kind of jealous of was the Halo series. And it was a series that I would hope one day would come to PlayStation. Well, we're finally have reached that day where Halo will be coming to PlayStation, and I have some thoughts. So this past Friday, October 24th, the now Halo Studios announced that Halo Campaign Evolved, a remake of Halo Combat Evolved, which originally released in 2001, will be coming out next year for the 25th anniversary of Halo. And it will be the first time that Halo arrives on a PlayStation platform. And of course, I grew up as a PlayStation gamer, so I never owned an Xbox. I never owned a Nintendo console growing up. It wasn't until recent years where I bought my first Xbox in the Series X, and I bought the Nintendo Switch, and now I have a Nintendo Switch too. And even though I got my first Xbox in 2021 with the Series X, it wasn't my first chance to play Halo. Like all growing up, whenever I would go over to friends' houses, I would say the number one game I played over multiple friends' houses that wasn't on PlayStation was Halo. I remember having many multiplayer matches, playing some of the single player campaigns. We're talking, back in the early 2000s to late 2000s, a lot of Halo 1 through 3, that original trilogy that Bungie made back in the day. And I just always enjoyed playing Halo. And I, I was always jealous of PlayStation not having Halo growing up because I just thought the gameplay was it's just such an awesome feeling game to play. And I'm not a big first person shooter gamer. Like I don't play, I'm not playing Battlefield 6 right now, which seems to be the big rage, or the yearly Call of Duty installments, or I don't play a lot of first person shooters. It's not that I dislike them, it's just like I don't typically gravitate towards those as my like preferred video games that I like to play. So my first exposure to first person shooters was Halo back in the early 2000s. I remember going over a friend's house and I don't know, maybe 2002 or maybe even before that, and playing Halo. And I never had played anything like it before. And I just thought, that the gameplay, the atmosphere, the music was just, it was so cool. And Halo really is what defines Xbox. So when you think of Xbox, you typically think Halo first. So now that we have Halo coming over to PlayStation, it's very strange. It's like, and I know Xbox has slowly kind of been working towards this moment because, if you haven't really been following, Xbox is going multi-platform. They're gonna be releasing their games on other platforms, and that's because it's the Xbox console business is they're not competing against the PlayStation business, and Xbox console sales aren't doing well. And they, of course, if you haven't heard, that they acquired all these publishers. They acquired Activision, they acquired Bethesda, acquired other game studios in recent years. And so I think a big part of why Xbox has been going multi-platform and releasing all their games on other platforms is because they paid so much to acquire all these publishers and studios, but also they're not selling nearly as well as the PS5 and of course the Nintendo Switch. But it's really, I don't think that's Microsoft's primary focus anymore, is selling consoles. They have bought so many publishers and studios. They have the chance to be, and I think they're gonna be, the biggest gaming publisher in the world. So I thought I would include some gameplay in this video of Halo Campaign Evolved. And the name Halo Campaign Evolved, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know. I think they could have called it like Halo 1 Evolved or something like that. Like, I don't know, when they remade The Last of Us, they just called it The Last of Us Part 1. And, the original title of Halo is just Halo Combat Evolved. I think they should just call this like Halo 1 Evolved or something like that. And I know technically this is the third uh, version of Halo Combat Evolved, because they had the remaster slash, well, it was more of a remaster for the Master Chief collection here. And yeah, so when I had my Xbox Series X, I played a little bit of the Master Chief collection. I played Halo Infinite, and I played actually, so I played through all of Halo Reach, and I played a little bit of Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary Edition, whatever they called it, and I didn't get too far. And I should say I've never, the only Halo game that I've gone by from start to finish the campaign is Halo Reach. Like, I played a lot of Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3 back in the day, the campaigns, but I would always play them over a friend's house and co-op. And, I would never stay long enough where we get by the whole campaign. But I remember a few times getting pretty far. Like, I remember one time at one of my friends' house, we played Halo 2. I want to say we played for 6 or 7 hours, well into the middle of the night. It was like some sleepover I had at a friend's house. But yeah, I have fond memories of playing Halo growing up and playing at a friend's house, and I just always loved the gameplay, the atmosphere. As far as like the story and the lore, don't ask me what's going on in the world of Halo, because that's not really what the draw of Halo for me. It's always been that gameplay. And when I played Halo Infinite just a few years ago, I I loved the multiplayer, and I'm not a big multiplayer guy, and the gameplay was so good. And I wasn't too into the campaign, the open world thing, design of it, but I just really enjoyed the multiplayer of Halo Infinite. So yeah, I think Xbox, their primary focus right now is becoming the world's biggest publisher. And of course, we got also Gears of War that came out earlier this year on PS5, and to have the physical copy of this it's very strange, but to see it with the PS5 label and all that. And I definitely will, if they have a physical copy of Halo Campaign Evolved, I definitely will be getting it physically. Uh, so yeah, I mean, Xbox is a different Xbox than they were just a few years ago. I mean, at the beginning of the generation, I think their focus was on trying to catch up to PlayStation, and they released the Series X, and Game Pass was really the thing they were trying to really sell people on. And look, we're buying all these studios, and I caved in and got a Series X, and I enjoyed my time with my Series X. I decided to get rid of it, just because between the PlayStation 5 and the Switch, I felt like I didn't really have enough time to fit that third console. And so, and yeah, I mean, Halo Infinite, the Master Chief Collection, Psychonauts 2, those were probably my favorite experiences that I had with my Series X. And I played a little bit of Starfield too. But I'm just curious to see, going forward, like the rumors are Xbox is still going to be making hardware in the future. But from the sounds of it, they're going to be releasing very expensive, high-tech consoles, powerful, a powerful console. And it's been rumored that their next console is kind of be like a PC console hybrid, which will have like a Steam storefront, and it'll still have Game Pass and the Xbox store and all that. But Xbox, you can see, is really, they're kind of all over the place this generation and changing their strategy. I think they're just trying to figure out how are we going to make money in the console space or in the gaming space. And I think they're trying to see a return on investment on all these big acquisitions they made. I mean, the Activision acquisition, which that was a big play for Call of Duty. And Activision they have a lot of properties, but Call of Duty is really the big reason, the big property they acquired from that acquisition. And I think they paid like 68 billion, 69 billion. I don't remember exactly, but it was the biggest acquisition in Microsoft history. And I believe it's the biggest acquisition in gaming history. So with Halo coming to PlayStation, this is like the biggest band-aid they had to rip off so far. And you know, they of course they brought Gears over, they brought Forza over, they brought other uh, games that were made by studios that Xbox had bought or owned in recent years. And you know, Halo coming over, that's like, okay, you know, that's a moment of reflection here. It's like, this is, yeah, so this is just a different Xbox, and I'm very excited to have Halo coming over to PlayStation. And I very much look forward to playing Halo Campaign Evolved next year. And you got to assume that Halo Studios is going to be remaking more than the original Halo. And I I think this is what I predict. I think they're going to remake Halo 2 and Halo 3 as well, and maybe just release the campaigns for those games as well. And you know, I think if I was Halo Studios, I would make a multiplayer only game that has all the Halo maps from all the games. And because at this point, and you know, I just think back to Halo Infinite. Let me get this out of the way here. I think back to Halo Infinite, and really the thing that drew me into that game was the multiplayer. And it's always been more about the gameplay with Halo for me, and that's why I've always just enjoyed playing multiplayer in the Halo games. And as I said before, I'm not a big multiplayer guy. I don't play like a lot of first-person shooters, multiplayer, Call of Duty, all that. So I've just always been drawn to Halo, and Halo really was my gateway into the first-person shooter genre. And you know, I don't think I will ever become like a big FPS person, but I will always enjoy playing Halo, and I will always be down to play a game of Halo. And what we've seen of Halo Campaign Evolved so far, you know, it looks like Halo. And you know, they're adding new modern touches to it. They're adding sprint to this Halo, which the original Combat Evolved didn't have sprint, which when I played the Halo Master Chief Collection a few years ago and played Halo 1, it felt strange not having sprint. And I know some Halo purists maybe aren't exactly thrilled about all the changes they're going to make, and that but you know, it's just the modernizing Combat Evolved. And I'm looking forward very much to playing it next year. And I assume it will probably come out sometime later in the year, because I believe the official 25th anniversary is sometime in November of 2026. So I can't wait to play it, and I definitely will probably be playing it day one, and try to get the physical copy and all that. But you know, it's just, I think Xbox should just focus on being the world's biggest publisher of games. I don't know, like, if they should even release a next gen console. Like, I mean, I guess they still have a group of people, the hardcore Xbox fans, that will still want to maybe pay a premium to buy Xbox hardware. And that's what it sounds like from all reports, that Xbox is going to be releasing some very expensive box that's going to be like more like buying a PC, and it's going to be like a PC console hybrid that, you know, some people are reporting it's going to be over $1,000. So they're targeting a different audience now. And it's, I don't think they really care about, in terms of the hardware space, competing with PlayStation anymore. And I can get that, where they're coming from. I think, you know, they've tried to compete with PlayStation, but ever since the beginning of PlayStation 4, it's just, you know, Xbox really hasn't been close in terms of sales. So they're changing their strategy. And it's just a very, I mean, 20 years ago, if you would have told me that Halo would be on PlayStation, you know, I never thought that would be a thing. You know, I thought, you know, Halo's like Xbox Mario, and it's probably like similar to when Sega used to make consoles way back in the day, and they left the consoles business and became, you know, a third-party publisher of games. They, you know, published all their games on other platforms. And it must have been like when Sonic came over to Nintendo, or came over to other platforms, that that's that's probably the closest comparison. But because Xbox is owned by one of the biggest companies in human history in Microsoft, they can afford to still make consoles and probably lose money from that business, but also still publish and buy all these publishers and studios. So yeah, I mean, Xbox is they got they're in a lot of different spaces in the gaming business, but I think they're gonna make a killing off publishing games on all platforms, and just the amount of IPs and studios they own now. They can release so many games, and they sold a lot with Forza Horizon 5 when that came out to PlayStation. I forget what the numbers were, but I know they did very well with Forza. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting as someone who's grew up in gaming in the late 90s, early 2000s, to see where Xbox is now. And of course, I've always been a PlayStation guy, and PlayStation is my primary platform. Even with having to switch to now, PlayStation is my primary platform, and so it's cool that we're getting Halo, and I think it's good for the Halo IP that they're going multi-platform. I think staying exclusive to Xbox and PC, sure, there's a big audience they can sell the games to, but just adding PlayStation to it, it's just that Halo on PlayStation is gonna, just because of the novelty of it, I think it's gonna be number one on the charts when it first comes out, and I think it's gonna sell very well. So what are your thoughts there, guys, on Halo coming on PlayStation 5? Are you excited? Don't really care? I'm very much looking forward to it. I think it's good for Halo, good for the studio, good for the industry that we're getting more games that are not exclusive and multi-platform. And I'm gonna try to start getting back to doing YouTube more here. My goal is to try to do one video or one stream a week. So if this is your first time on the channel, if you want to subscribe, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button if you enjoyed this, and I will see you in the next video.